All right, we're in Galatians chapter 1, going into chapter 2, verse 2. The first question is, where did Paul say his gospel did not come from? And the second question, where did he say it did come from? This is found in verses 11 and 12. He says, I want you to know, brothers, that the gospel I preached is not something that man made up. I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ. So it was not from man, but it was from Jesus himself by revelation. The third question is, in the beginning of chapter 2, what did he do in Jerusalem and why? In chapter 2, verse 2, he says that he went up to Jerusalem in response to a revelation. And what did he do? He set before them, that's the Christians in Jerusalem, set before them the gospel that he preached among the Gentiles. In the end of the verse, he says, for fear that I was running or had run my race in vain. He's presenting the gospel that he had been preaching to the Christian leaders in Jerusalem, basically for their critique, to see if what he has been saying is valid. He's putting it before them just in case he had been running in vain. Now, the last question is this. Given the answer to questions 1 and 2, why do you think he would do this? It seems strange. He's declared very explicitly that the gospel he preached was not from man. It was by revelation of Jesus, and yet still he saw fit to submit that to other Christians for their input, for their insight, to see if it fit with where they felt the Spirit was leading them. I think this brings out a very important biblical point. We saw this also with Peter in Acts chapters 10 and 11. He had a vision from Jesus. He had the Spirit speaking to him, guiding him in Acts chapter 10 with the situation of Cornelius and his household. But then in chapter 11, when he comes to the church, the leaders in Jerusalem, it says they contended with him, saying you went into people who were uncircumcised and ate with them. And what did Peter do? The same thing Paul did. It says he rehearsed the matter from the beginning. He shared with them step by step and told them, this is what I did and this is how I believed God was leading me. And same here we see with Paul, sharing with them how he believed God was leading him. What he believed was a revelation from God. I think what these two great giants of the Christian faith teach us is that none of us is above the position of needing to submit to other Christians for scrutiny, for criticism even. We may think, and it may be true, that God has given us a revelation directly from him, but still, and especially if that revelation is concerning the actions of another, still we need to submit that to others so that they can see if this is where God is leading them as well. There should be a resonance. There's an Old Testament and New Testament principle. It says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. No longer do we trust the prophet. No longer do we trust just one leader. No longer do we trust just one vision, one person. The mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses is helpful. The mouth of the multitude of counselors, Proverbs says, there is safety. And so this is the model, particularly for the New Testament, that God has given. That in the New Testament, we receive direction, we receive instruction and guidance from the Spirit as a group, as a body, as Paul emphasizes. As a body, we are led. So again, I think that this can teach us that even if we think something's coming from God, even if someone else is telling us something is coming from God, it doesn't diminish the fact that it's coming from God for us to submit it to others. It doesn't diminish it that it comes from God for us to discuss it as Christian brothers and sisters and confirm that this is indeed the Word of God.